Hey guys, I'm Rhys Trenhaile from the Vanguard Team at Manor Realty down in Windsor, Ontario. With me is one of the few real estate lawyers that if you're buying an income property in Windsor, we always used to say, if you're going to buy an income property in Windsor, you got to use a Windsor lawyer because these out of town lawyers don't know Windsor and they're going to screw it up, which is actually very true. Or they're just going to subcontract to a local real estate lawyer and you're going to pay more money. There's an exception out there, and he's on with us today. His name is Shawn Quigg from Cardinal Law. How you doing, man?
Hey, Rhys, thank you so much. I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah, I was just bragging about you like the grandmother you never had, man. He also walks on water, guys. He does.
Wow.
Uh, so Shawn represents a lot of our clients. So you keep seeing his name coming up, and it's like, okay, well we got to get to know this cat, right? And Shawn is growing very quickly in the business, and it's a joy to see because there's not enough good people in income property and investment niches, man. So thank you for existing. You're on today with us because I want to go over this petition that's up to 42,000 signatures in Ontario for a common sense revolution for the Housing Tribunal. Now, guys, if you know the Housing Tribunal in Ontario, it's completely screwed. So your tax dollars, and boy, this is going to sound really right wing, and it's not, it's just pragmatic, guys, but your tax dollars are being wasted on the Housing Tribunal. They're literally rewarding the bad and worst tenants and the bad and worst landlords and slumlords because it takes 8 months, 9 months to get in front of the tribunal. And if you know what you're doing as a career scumbag, you know how to get that postponed. And you have to wait another 4 months for a hearing or another 6 months for a hearing. It is completely broken. So British Columbia ended up solving this. Do you know what you do? Do you know it started in British Columbia, Shawn?
I did know because I heard about it and went, oh, that's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, so tell everybody what you remember of it, and I'll fill in the blanks if I can.
Well, you should fill in the blanks because my memory is spotty.
British Columbia had the same problem as Ontario. Huge backlogs. So you're just rewarding the worst human beings that are tenants and the worst human beings that are landlords. And what they realized was the vast majority of their backlog had to do with the non-payment of rent. So what they did is they said, okay, if the dispute is about rent and non-payment of rent, or you have a dispute, you do not hold back rent, you don't withhold rent, you pay it into the tribunal if you're not going to pay it to the landlord, right? And if you don't pay that money, if you don't pay that rent, then you have to get out in a very short period of time. You don't get your day in court, so to speak, right? You're gone. You're gone within about 2 weeks with a sheriff, right? So all of a sudden, as soon as you chopped all of that goofy crap out of the system, all of a sudden their waiting times went under 90 days. And my understanding is it's decreasing even more because the housing tribunals are catching up even more. So British Columbia has solved the exact same problem. And there's a guy out there, a lot of investors might know the name Christopher Seepy, Seepe, if you want to look him up. He writes a lot of articles on real estate, etc. But he started a petition with, and you can see it up on the video right now, guys. He started a petition with change.org. I'll put the link below so you guys can also sign it if you haven't signed it yet. And they're up to 41,793 signatures. And it's all about dear Premier Doug Ford, right? And basically, it's saying to do like we estimate that Ontario landlords have lost about $1 billion a year in rental income. And I can tell you that sounds about right based on the litany of clients that we pick up. Our own clients that have been with us forever, they have the right defensive mechanism. So our existing client base don't have to deal too much with non-paying tenants, but we pick up a lot of tenants from other people, a lot of clients from other people, and a lot of those relationships start with us trying to solve the eviction of a tenant. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, what do you think about this, man? What do you think about how they're trying to make a big carve out of the bureaucratic mess that is the landlord tribunal in Ontario?
Well, that's where you start. It's simply an acknowledgement that the Landlord Tenant Board does not serve good tenants or good landlords. And it's
No.
supposed to.
Yeah.
It's supposed to serve good tenants and good landlords. If you are a good tenant with a bad landlord, it's supposed to protect you. And if you're a good landlord with a bad tenant, it's supposed to protect you.
Amen.
That's the baseline. And that, as taxpayers, is what we should expect of our landlord tenant board if we're going to have one. And I don't think we're getting rid of it, or at least a rental tribunal of some kind. Its structure and form, is always subject to change. And
Yep.
Doug Ford has come out and said that he's now thinking the pendulum has swung too far away from the favor of the small landlords. So he and the Attorney General are looking at what to do about that. So we don't really know what the future holds for the Landlord-Tenant Board, but we can admit, and objectively it is true, just as you stated off the top, that it is simply not working. In fact, there is a whole industry that has erupted to help landlords get tenants out.
Yeah.
And this is something we help with at our firm. I know there are others that are helping with. And this shouldn't exist. This shouldn't ever need to exist. We shouldn't need to privatize law enforcement.
Yeah.
Which
Amen,
is
man.
wild.
Preach.
Right?
Preach, Shawn. Preach.
But it's worse. It's worse, Rhys,
Yeah.
because even if you get to the end with the landlord-tenant board and you get your eviction order, then it's weeks to months for the sheriff to show up.
We're waiting on a power sale right now. And it's not, so we deal with power sales, not necessarily in Windsor, Essex. We deal with them more into Southwestern Ontario. So we
Yeah.
got one out of town. And they're losing the documents. They can't find the order. The sheriff's losing. Like, they're not going to get them out. The order was back
Yeah.
in July. They're not going to get them out till December.
It's embarrassing.
I'm like,
Yeah.
just go get rid of, like, it's mind blowing, man. It's mind blowing. Yeah. So I mean, this petition, and let's hear what you think of this. Immediately pass legislation or implement the policy and procedure whereby an application made by a rental housing provider to the LTB, Landlord Tenant Board, for eviction of a tenant for non-payment of rent shall be automatically ordered without a hearing, subject to proof satisfactory that the rent has not been paid or has been paid. So instead of having to wait 9 months to prove they haven't paid, and now you've got another 9 months of non-payment, instead of that, they're saying, we're going to assume you haven't paid rent up front. You got to prove you paid rent. So if you can't prove it, it's GTFO time. I don't want to say what the F is, but it's GTFO time. But I
This is
mean,
private radio, isn't it?
that frees up the tribunal to deal with the real problems, like the cockroaches or like the mold, or, like I'm talking about health issues or noise complaints or whatever it is. And you can't get to them. How many legitimate complaints like that now don't even go to the tribunal because they know it's like a year wait for anything to happen. Like, people are just living and breathing mold. And I know this for a fact because they know
You
they're
would
not
see
going to
it.
get their day in court.
Yeah.
It drives
And
me nuts, man. And people are probably wondering why, Rhys, this is a landlord interview. This is landlord channel. Why are you worrying about the tenants? I worry about everybody. I worry about the good people of Canada, right?
Well,
I don't like it.
We're not asking, even good landlords are not asking for the Landlord Tenant Board or the Residential Tenancies Act to only favor landlords.
No.
They just want justice.
Yeah.
That's
it,
man. Fair, timely justice. In fact, the timeliness of justice has been codified by the Supreme Court in a case called Jordan from 2018, I think. Might have been a little bit, may have been 2020. This was in the criminal law context, though, and it set timelines for trials where, depending on what you were charged with, if your trial took longer than this certain timeline, which for the most serious of offenses was 24 months, then you're out. You're acquitted.
Yep. But that's the court system, and this is a tribunal.
That's right.
So it doesn't apply.
There's not exactly. This is only in the criminal law context, but the overarching idea that timely access to justice is a fundamental right of Canadians under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms is sort of being abdicated in this scenario because
we're totally, the Landlord Tenant Tribunal in its current form is currently trotting all over our charter rights, access to justice. So I went to the University of Windsor Law School, and we are the access to justice law school in Canada. That's what we're known for. And this is completely contrary to how a society is supposed to function. My tax dollars, your tax dollars, guys, Shawn Quigg's tax dollars, which is more than all of us combined. He's money bags, this guy. Our tax money is going. Do you see how he didn't deny it? Didn't deny it, guys. But no, our tax money is going to paying to reward the slumlords and paying to reward the career dirtbag tenants that just manipulate the system and don't pay. And then they'll move to the next landlord and they won't pay again. They just hop place to place. As an aside, one of the great things that the federal government has done policy-wise, and yeah, we can hate Trudeau all we want, but there's a lot of good things they've actually done, And one of those things is for landlords. I mean, one of those things they've done recently is your credit score is now going to be tied to your performance paying rent, right? And again, that rewards not only the good landlords, because we can see the career scumbags now because it's coming up on their credit report, but it also rewards the good tenants because now they're getting a credit score boost. If they're saving up their money, now they can buy a house.
And it penalizes the bad tenants because their credit goes down.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But not only does their credit go down, the landlords can see them coming.
Yeah.
Right now, we've
Great.
got a record that shows, this person's a problem, right?
Yep.
Has my screen frozen, by the way, with you?
Yeah, it has.
That's weird. Well, we're right at the end anyway. Guys, I'm going to link this at the bottom for everybody. I don't know what happened to my screen. Hopefully that fixes in the final edit. But Shawn, man, thank you for joining us.
Rhys,
Guys, I will link Shawn Quigg's contact information as well. When you talk about having a power team around you so that you can get wealthy through real estate investment, you need real estate agents that specialize in income properties. You need real estate agents that are landlords themselves. Ideally, you're also getting a real estate lawyer who specializes in income properties, understands the market you're in this case, Windsor, and also owns income properties as a landlord, right? These are the people you need to surround yourself with, guys. So this is why I wanted to bring Shawn on. And Shawn, I probably talked too much. I wanted to hear your voice more than mine. But let's see if we can get a few more signatures for that petition.
all right.
All right. Thanks for joining us, man. Until
Cheers.
next time, guys.